Also, this is coming out Easter weekend.
Sure is.
Yeah.
And it's called Sinners.
Which is exactly the perfect time to do it.
Exactly
Maybe if you want to catch all the sinners,
exactly
self-admitted sinners. What about the people who might want to go see this movie and not feel sacrilegious?
Well, they can go see King of Kings, still out in theaters right now. We come to this place for magic, to laugh,
to cry,
To care.
but most importantly, to argue about movies. We are
The Box Office Buds.
My name is Tony Squares. As always, I'm joined by Alexander Kellerman, Alexander Alche, the cheese man himself. We are diving into many movies this week, and most importantly, very excited to talk about arguably the most exciting movie of the year. It has vampires. We're talking about Sinners today. We're talking about Stunt Oscars that they're finally giving out after Tom Cruise retires from movies. But we wanted to start off by congratulating Kellerman himself. He has taken the lead in the Fantasy Movie League. Minecraft doesn't stop making money, Kellerman. 550 million worldwide. How excited are you?
I'm stoked.
Yeah.
I love winning, and I'm doing it right now.
Dangles is in second place, 414 million.
Captain America, yeah.
That little sliver of hope you see on your screen right now is yours truly, because King of Kings has entered the fray, and for the first time all season, the three of us have finally had our movies debut in the Fantasy Movie League. If this is the first time you're watching this show, we've all drafted 5 movies coming out this calendar year. Whoever makes the most money worldwide wins the Fantasy Movie League, and yours truly won the league last year, and it's a long climb to the top now.
But hey, we're all on the board. Well, I don't really consider myself to have had a movie out. My first was Mickey 17. Your first is King of Kings, and the juggernaut over there, Kellerman's got
smoked everybody
is looking
so far.
Looking down the barrel of $1 billion with Minecraft. So you and I have a far leg to climb.
Yeah, I'd love to have the first $1 billion movie.
I think you're going to.
Only $3 billion movies last year. If you get a $1 billion movie on, really a movie that you had a lot of high hopes for, but not exactly one that we expected $1 billion out of. This is a huge win for you, and really is putting you ahead of the game. Now, your direct competitor, Dangles, who is second place right now thanks to Captain America. Captain America, long gone at this point.
Done.
We've already gravestoned Captain America, but his second movie is coming out this weekend. He is the man who has Sinners. So are you?
Sinners is Dangles' movie.
Are you worried at all that you might lose this lead this early?
No, not to. Well, he's only 100 million behind.
Yes, but you also
Sinners
still have
could make
Minecraft.
100 million. Yeah, Minecraft is going to keep going for a little while. So
we'll find out shortly.
I guess. Yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
We'll be predicting the over/under for domestic opening for Sinners, the full total worldwide for Sinners during this movie. A lot to talk about when it comes to Sinners. But before we get there, guys, we have some movies that we saw this weekend that we're going to spoiler-free review for you, including King of Kings. Yes. I'm one of those $19 million that went to see a movie about the life and death of Jesus Christ himself, told through the words of Charles Dickens and told through a really pretty animated movie. Not going to lie.
You're not going to do a spoiler full review of the story of Jesus Christ?
Yeah, I guess that's true. Similar to Titanic, Jack doesn't make it in the end.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus!
But does he come back?
He comes back, and then that's the end of the movie.
Oh, wow.
That's it. He comes back, he grabs the hand of the little boy, and then it's gone.
For the sequel, you know.
I guess there has to be a sequel. I will say it's a very interesting tale. Not a lot of humor in this movie. And
it's not a feel good.
And I gotta say, some of the voice acting is excellent. Some of the voice acting, if I had to guess, they didn't have Uma Thurman for a long time in the studio because everything she said was just, "Are you in the same movie as everyone else, Uma?" And she plays a pretty pivotal role.
Is Uma married? Is she married?
Mary has 0 lines. Mary might have 3 lines in the whole movie.
Oh, wow.
Uma is Charles Dickens' wife. You see, Charles Dickens is telling the story of Jesus to his young
children,
son.
right.
The beginning of this movie makes no sense. How they're in the predicament that they're in doesn't matter. Once we get to Jesus, the movie's actually really fun. And it's really pretty. I have to say, it is a very pretty, very lovely animated movie.
I actually also thought that the animation looked really amazing from the trailer. It's one of the things that kind of made me curious about it.
It really does. The only thing that didn't really make a lot of sense is why is Jesus' neck so thin? Because no other neck looks like that out of any of the apostles, any of the movies. But we go through everything, man. If you want to learn about Jesus Christ and the story of Jesus told through a very interesting lens, they go through it all.
Birth to death?
Birth to death.
To
Really?
From the manger to the death to the resurrection
Wow.
to the evil kings that are trying to destroy him. They go through how when he's a baby, the original king, wherever they are, Nazareth or whatever, wants to literally end the life of every child 2 years and under so they can get the king that is promised, Jesus Christ. It gets scary at times.
My God.
It really does.
Well, answer me this, and in a spoiler-free way. On a scale of 1 to 10 on the anti-Semitism scale, where do we fall?
No comment. Go see King of Kings.
Wait, is there any mention of him being Jewish?
No comment.
No
Go see King of Kings. Yeah, it's a quick movie. There are some slow moments. There are some miracles that you see, water into wine, multiplying of food, all that stuff. And it gets really dark in the end. He does not make it. They show the whole crucifixion. So if your kid is not, able to handle that stuff, I fully understand keeping it away.
They're nailing him to the cross. They're throwing shit at him.
It's the full crucifixion.
He's bleeding.
You don't see blood. But pretty much
thorn
everything
else.
Thorn a crown
Nailing with
happens.
that thin of a neck, you probably doesn't have much blood.
Happens, and it's like genuinely scary. But it is a kids movie, I guess. Now, are you guys surprised that this thing made $19 million over the weekend?
Incredibly.
Yeah.
I haven't been this surprised since Snow White made less than
nothing.
50 million. Yeah.
Made nothing.
I'm not surprised. I'm the one who took the over, baby.
Yeah, I guess
took
so.
the
You're
over.
oh,
6
right.
and 3.
God, you're right.
That
6
is true.
and 3, 5 and 3, 3 and 5. You are a mess, Kellerman. You got to come back on the board this week.
I'm really doing bad.
Now, hold on. That's not even close to the records, but he is 6 and 3. I am 5 and 4. Kellerman, you are 3 and 6.
Hey, even worse.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's
But
not good.
again, Alche and I do have a winning record. We will be again predicting the domestic opening weekend of Sinners in just a little bit. But before we get there, we didn't see the drop. We didn't see the amateur. But Kellerman, you did see Warfare.
Yeah.
I have my thoughts on it because I saw it as well. I would love to hear you because I kind of agree with what you said in the little video you did on our socials. You can see that recap.
You've now seen 3 movies in the last 3 weeks
it's a big
in
deal.
theaters. I feel like that's more than you've seen in the last 10 years.
I wouldn't say 10 years, but yeah, I've battled back. I've battled my anxiety. We're back in theaters. We're rolling.
I think we really appreciate your commitment to this show. Thank you so much.
But Warfare.
I may not win the battle as far as our over-under predictions, but I am going to win the war of our entire fantasy movie league. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And speaking of war,
great nonsense.
I saw Warfare this weekend.
Excellent.
And I thought it was absolutely incredible.
Wow.
I'm not a huge war film fan.
Mm-hmm.
You're a pacifist.
But I do, the greats are great. Saving Private Ryan.
Sure.
I think we can all agree on certain war movies that just can touch anybody.
Mm-hmm.
This movie impressed me in multiple ways, not just because I enjoyed it and it's a war movie, but how visceral the story was and how it affected me with so little setup in the beginning. Truly blew my mind. How connected I felt to the characters with such minimal character development in the beginning. Really incredible. And I attribute that to the actors and the directing.
Wow.
It really affected me, Kellerman. I agree with you on that. If I had to use one word to describe this movie, it would be sad. There is a general tenor of really depressing things going on in this movie. And Alche, I remember what you said last week when we were talking jokingly about would you rather see Warfare, The Drop, or Amateur. You said you've gotten to a point in your life where you kind of need escapism more than you need realism when it comes to your movie viewing. This is an extremely real movie.
Super real.
And there are
almost too real at times.
Wonderful cinematography, wonderful use of audio on what these characters can or can't hear after these gunshots and explosions are going on around them. And as Kellerman said, a really simple premise. We're in real time. We don't have a lot of settings. We're really in one house as this group of SEALs, Marines, gets attacked by outside forces. But my favorite part of this movie coming out of it as a whole is I think they did an excellent job of sending a message about the war in Iraq without sending a message. Like, you leave this movie really feeling the weight of everything that happened there. And also, doesn't matter how you feel about this country over the past 20 years, I think we all leave that movie thinking nothing good happened. And it really sits with you. And I thought it was an excellent job making that movie, commending them for telling that story. Even if you write down on paper, not a lot happens. Like, it's not like a Black Hawk Down where they have to go from here to there to there to there. It just is such a gritty experience.
Because that's what I thought it was going into it. I thought we were going to see some kind of incredible journey, some kind of mission. But the mission that they're on gets stopped immediately, and it just becomes a survival story.
Yeah.
And I only agree with you 90%. While obviously a lot of the events are very sad, I found a lot of comfort in the brotherhood and the no man left behind attitude of it, but the larger existential dread of, because it really, even though it's a personal story of someone who survived an event in the war, it really does a good job of painting the broader picture of how everything works within our military system, especially overseas, and in very small ways that add up to a much bigger picture that makes us realize how difficult those situations can be, how difficult a situation is if you have a broken leg or something and you can't, like, think about it, you just can't go to the hospital. You have to wait for a medic to come to you, or you have to get to a medic by traversing a war zone. And those are the small little things that are detailed in the movie that you don't really often see get pinpointed in war films, that I thought they just did such a good job of those little details that make up the bigger picture.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, I didn't see The Drop, because I had family in town, but I am looking forward to seeing it. I am going to see this movie. I'm absolutely going to see this movie. And it's getting good reviews, shockingly. It's getting good reviews.
It is.
Producer
Our buddy
TJ's putting 2 thumbs up.
Our buddy TJ saw it. He really liked it.
However, no one else is seeing it.
No, it's not doing well.
As you noticed, of the 3, it was number 3.
Yeah, let's talk about that, actually, because King of Kings came in number 2 at the box office this weekend after Minecraft.
It went Minecraft, King of Kings.
Domestically. King of Kings has yet to open up internationally.
Correct. It went Minecraft, King of Kings, The Amateur, Warfare, and then The Drop.
The big drop to the drop.
Drop barely made more than Dogman, and Dogman's been out since January. But yeah, there's a lot of movies coming out. I'm really happy I saw Warfare. I do highly recommend it if you are into that type of a movie, because again, I think it gets my favorite part of it is that it is a true story, and it's I guess co-directed by the guy who experienced all this stuff. And my favorite part of that is he doesn't try to make himself the hero or the protagonist of the story. It's a very, at least from what we can tell, true telling of the events that went on in there. And Kellerman's absolutely right in the horrors that it shows there. But it is a fantastic flick, no matter how gritty and true it is. Speaking of a fantastic flick that might not be gritty or true in any way, I think it's time to talk about Sinners. Michael B. Jordan is back, folks, not just in one role, but in 2 roles. A movie that all 3 of us will be seeing this weekend, a movie that we have an extended crew going to see it, because the more you hear about this movie, the more you see about this movie, gets you really excited to watch this movie. It's Sinners. Sinners, a movie that 2 twin brothers have to escape their tough life. They travel back to their hometown where a new evil awaits them. That's all you're getting from the premise and the log line. Doesn't tell you that there's vampires involved. Not a spoiler. They've already talked about it. Doesn't tell you how sexy this movie looks, how much this was shot in a very specific way. So like it plays with the dimensions on the screen. There's only a few theaters nationwide that have the movie theater capabilities to show you this movie the way they want you to see this movie. It's a very exciting tale by a guy who loves making really, really good movies. I'm pumped to see this thing.
Oh, it looks incredible. I watched a video on Instagram today of Ryan Coogler showing how he cut the film, showcasing how he shot the film.
Yeah.
It is, first of all, that video alone was incredibly effective and exciting, and the movie just looks incredible. Michael B. Jordan is so incredibly good with Coogler that it's going to be phenomenal. Coogler hasn't done anything original since Fruitvale Station, I believe. So this is his first original back in the fray, written and directed. It looks So good, so sexy, poignant. I saw a review a couple months ago. Spike Lee saw a screening and calls it one of the best movies he's seen in the last decade. It's going to be amazing. There's already an article out saying that it deserves Oscar buzz, but it's not going to get it because it's a vampire movie. So I'm so excited for this movie.
I'm pumped. I'm happy you brought up Fruitvale because that is the last time he had an original IP movie with Michael B. Jordan. That only made $17 million worldwide.
Sure.
Okay, this thing is going to blow that out of the water. At
Maybe.
least I expect. I hope, because we've had a year so far where original IP has not performed.
Yeah, I am also excited for the movie, but I do not have as much hope that it's going to perform at the box office, unfortunately.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. Why is that?
Well, as you guys said, it does. The things that are going for it are Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan, who are both individually amazing, but together a powerhouse. That said, it also has so many things working against it. Vampire movies don't typically do that great. Period films don't typically do that great. I don't have the numbers on movies where an actor plays two different roles, but
You don't?
Thinking of what I can think of, none of those really do all that great either.
That Tom Hardy movie a few years
Oh
ago?
boy, that was a huge flop.
It was.
No.
Other than like Nutty Professor or something, I think typically those are pretty big issues, but it looks amazing.
Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
It looks amazing. I think it'll do okay. But the simple fact of the matter is it feels like they're hiding something in the trailer. It feels like part of the movie is sort of being kept from me, and obviously that's by design. But I feel like if I knew what it was, I might be more inclined as a typical viewer to go see it.
Interesting. I don't agree with that.
Well, the
take,
trailer
but-
focuses primarily on the two brothers living this like crime life, and then the vampire stuff is kind of like at the end. By the way, there's vampires.
Yeah.
I think the vampire stuff's going to be a much bigger part of the movie, and if that's the case, it's like when they make trailers for musicals.
Exactly, it's
and
like
they don't
hiding the
show
musical.
people singing. They play the music in the background.
Yeah.
You might know it's based on a musical,
Let me-
but
You see
then
a tooth at the end.
But then the first wave of audience members go see it, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's a real full musical," and suddenly there's a big drop.
Tony,
off
what do you think about this?
Do you think that this movie, from what you've seen from the trailers, from what you've seen online, do you think that this movie is a horror movie or an action movie?
Exactly,
I'm asking you.
and I don't know.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you.
I think they are purposefully hiding this horror-ness in this movie because I think they're trying to really get those opening weekend like, oh my effing God, I cannot believe this happened.
Could be.
I think the buzz surrounding this thing, I was with you. I was with you that I was a little bit worried. An original movie. Coogler and Michael B. Jordan have not done original movies that have made money. All their stuff that you know them for, it's Creed. It's Black Panther. It's stuff that's going to get people in the seats.
Fruitvale was his first movie, and that was
Of course.
really Michael B. Jordan's
Of course.
big breakout. So
Right.
and it was an indie, and it's an amazing indie.
No, it's a fantastic film. I'm talking about they have not gone back to.
I know.
We're talking about box office here, just numbers. It's hard to get
understand.
people in butts in seats.
However-
but the buzz around this thing has changed my mind on it completely. I think people are excited for this, are anticipating this, and I think purposefully they've just left you breadcrumbs of what this movie is truly going to be about. I think the thing that's going to sell this movie, at least from the beginning, and this is something we've said on the show before, it genuinely looks sexy. Like it looks like a movie that is just a lot going on to it, a lot of lust, a lot of love, a lot of really artfully done stuff that is getting you interested to go see. It's an adult movie, not an adult film, but an adult should be going to see this movie, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's stuff that you don't get with Captain America, where teenagers can go see it too. Like no, this is something you need to get the babysitter. Mom and dad are going to see a movie tonight, and it's going to be Sinners.
Completely agree. I also think we're going to see the power of Michael B. Jordan's box office ability with this movie. I think, step aside Will Smith, Michael B. Jordan is coming. He's done IP-based stuff in Creed, in Black Panther, and Creed 1 didn't do as swimmingly as you think it would, but 2 and 3 did fantastically.
Yeah, 3 did great.
And obviously, freaking Black Panther was a juggernaut. But I just think Michael B. Jordan has become a sex symbol, a notable actor, and just someone who everyone of every generation loves and adores, and by all means is a great guy. And him and Coogler together, this thing's going to be phenomenal. And I think the box office projections are going to be completely off.
I also think Coogler is the big name here. That's going to be the big winner when this is all said and done, because we don't really have that many young up and coming names when it comes
Jordan Peele.
No, that's what I'm saying. When it comes to behind the camera, we don't really have a lot of that. We don't have the Spielberg, the Scorsese. Like, we don't have a litany of them that we're known
Jordan
for.
Peele.
That's what I'm saying. He can join the ranks of that. And I think this is the movie that does that. And so I'm excited for him to get there. Michael B. Jordan, however, when it comes to non-IP, last one I found was Chronicle, and that only made $123 million. So I'm hoping
Good movie,
Sinners
though.
does more than that.
It was okay.
I like Chronicle.
I think Michael B. Jordan is a fantastic actor and one of the best looking men on the planet.
He
So
is.
I think he is going to be around for a long time. Coogler, I once heard him describe the color palette for one of his movies. I can't remember if it was Black Panther or one of the other ones, but all he was talking about was the color coordination and what colors meant what emotion and how they were used. And I realized he's one of the best directors of our time.
He's a genius.
He
Unbelievable.
recently came out and talked about this movie. I forget who he was talking about it with, but said that he drew a lot of inspiration from Puss in Boots 3: The Last Wish, with how death is
Interesting. Which was supposed
portrayed
to
in
be
that
really
movie.
good. I didn't
is
see
good.
it, but
If you haven't
It is
seen
good.
it is a fantastic movie.
I've heard
And
that.
the character of Death, played by this wolf that's
dark.
stalking Puss in Boots, it's genuinely terrifying. And the little things that they do in that movie that I'm sure Coogler watched and said, yeah, that's what I want to do. I can't wait to see what he does with that. And he's come out and opened it. It's like, no, I took inspiration from that. Like, you're going to see pieces of that in my movie. I can't wait.
To go back to your original thought of does this look like a horror movie or not? I think the poster alone does. He's got that one like silver tooth and he's looking like down. Like it is clearly giving horror vibes. Yeah. It's giving thriller vibes. There's like fire everywhere in the trailer. It looks like a horror thriller to me.
I could see that. A part of me just thinks it's going to be a drama with a horror element.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I think we're getting full suspense horror.
Here's what I think the number one biggest problem with its marketing, if you want to call it that, the title. I think it's a terrible title, personally. I think it doesn't tell me enough about what it is. I think that based on what I've seen, it looks like only one of them is a sinner and the other one is not as much of a sinner. And unless they call vampires sinners in the movie, in which case that's still unclear. If you like vampires, the title Sinners isn't going to tell you that you want to see this movie. I just feel like I have a problem with titles that tell me literally nothing.
Couldn't disagree more. I think the title
Even
is excellent.
Fruitvale Station, at least I know where it is like taking place. You know what I mean?
One-word titles do phenomenally in the box office. Don't look it up, but I think it's true. And
Maybe
I think
when they describe what the movie's about.
Yeah, like Titanic.
Also, this is coming out Easter weekend,
sure is.
Yeah.
and it's called Sinners.
Which is exactly the perfect time to do it.
exactly the
Maybe if
point.
you want to catch all the sinners,
exactly the point.
self-admitted sinners. What about the people who might want to go see this movie and not feel
Well,
sacrilegious?
they can go see King of Kings, still out in theaters right now. The other thing that we know about this movie is that it involves vampires. And yes, it may not be full horror, it may be a touch of horror, but we do know that it revolves around vampires. And I got
Definitely.
things I want to say about vampires, okay?
Go on.
Oh boy!
I growing up in my life, out of all those mythical figures you see in movies, ghosts, aliens, werewolves, the scariest thing to me have been vampires.
No way.
Throughout my entire life.
Vampires.
And I had to realize...
Scarier than zombies and ghosts.
Scarier than zombies, scarier than everything. And I had to realize why. And I did some digging in the old mind cell, okay? Laid down on a couch and went through my feelings here. And I remembered
the sexual stuff.
that when I was a kid, I would read those choose your own adventure books a lot. I don't know if you've read them listening or watching right now, but there is one in particular. I looked it up. Choose your own adventure number 71. Space Vampire. And I read that at an entirely too young of age because these kids are in space and they get attacked by a group of space vampires and you have to choose your own adventure.
You see how that title tells you what it's about?
Do this, go to page 34. Do this, go to page 55. I don't think I ever made it out alive. I don't think I ever got the good ending. I kept dying to these space vampires and it's terrified me to my core. And I can't wait to be terrified again in Sinners. But since then, gentlemen.
You know what, though? I have a similar story. I saw Interview with the Vampire when I was 6.
Oh, man.
And man, it got me good. It got me good. I put myself in Kirsten Dunst's shoes,
Yes.
you know, as
Talk
you
about
do.
a sexy thriller.
Yeah, I know. I didn't.
Oh my
it was
goodness.
it was an odd day when my cousin was babysitting me. We started watching Friends, and then on TBS came Interview with the Vampire.
Wow.
And we watched it all.
That's the other thing. Vampires to me have been all very scary, but also vampires, when we're going into werewolf zombies, they're the sexiest. They're the sexiest
Absolutely,
movie,
always have been.
like villains of all the fantasy villains that you can have. And it's led to some fantastic movies. And so when I was young, too scared of vampires, it still didn't stop me from watching I've had a fascination with them.
I think you're ready
Wow.
now. I think you're ready.
I love learning this about you,
Yes.
Tony. Honestly, I did not know this.
That's why I want to have the discussion with you guys. That's all a prelude to this. We need to talk about the top 3 vampire movies ever.
Okay.
And how can Sinners get itself to that top 3? I don't think it's a very high bar. Put it that way. I think Sinners, especially when we're talking about box office. I mean, when it comes to movies, Twilight kills the top 5 box office for
unfortunately.
vampire movies. The 5th one is I Am Legend, made $77 million opening weekend. I don't think Sinners can hit those numbers. Maybe it can, but I think when it comes to quality, top 3 vampire movies is not a tough nut to crack. Do you have anything you want to throw out there?
I will say that none of those movies, Twilight or any of that, makes
gonna
my
make
list
it.
at all.
Not gonna make it, no.
Doesn't make my list at all.
What about Dracula Dead and Loving It?
That I might put that
I
on
love
the
that
list
movie. I
as
love that
one of
movie.
the funniest movies Mel Brooks
It's
ever
so
made.
great.
Unquestionably,
It's great.
Easily one of Liam Neeson's. Nope. Easily one of Leslie Nielsen's best movies.
Easily.
Dracula Dead and Loving It. Not only is
That
Dracula
also scared me. It's scary.
Not only is Dracula Dead and Loving It really funny, but it is at times a shot-for-shot remake of the original Dracula.
It is.
In a very, in my personal opinion, very impressively so.
Yes, I agree. I don't think it's making the cut, though.
I don't think it's making the
Well,
cut
judging
either.
by Tony nodding his head, I'm going to say definitely not.
You did bring up a movie that I think makes the cut. Interview with the Vampire is my favorite vampire
no,
movie.
I disagree. I'm going to strike that one down. I'm going to veto that.
Well, before you veto it, I love that movie because I think it is so artfully done. I think it is very, very sexy in its own right. I think it's a great story that is told. I love the story that it's based off of. I love the actors and the way they go about it. And it's still to this day, you can watch that movie like on TBS on a random Friday night and be captivated, be taken away into a period piece that is very, very interesting story that takes you all the way through. It's also heartbreaking at times and terrifying at times. I think Interview with a Vampire needs to be on this list. And if you're going to veto it, I'd love to hear 3 movies that beat it out.
First of all, Interview with a Vampire is very artfully and tastefully made, and the cast is undeniably incredible. But it is long and boring, and that's not what I think of when I think of vampire movies.
Good. Kellerman's long and boring argument.
So we're going to start with Blade.
Let's go to Abraham Lincoln's
Blade.
So we're going to
Vampire
start
Hunter.
with Blade as the best vampire movie that
It's not
there's
the
ever
best,
been.
but it's definitely very good.
Blade's on my list. I'm not
Blade's
going to
on
argue
the
about
list.
Blade.
Great.
Blade is
Okay,
on my
at least
list.
we can agree on Blade.
Excellent. You know, I have
and Blade Trinity, maybe.
I have 2 that are more in the art house. One is a comedy, one is not. Let the right one in.
It's on my short list. It's
also
on my short
boring as hell.
Oh, you're completely wrong.
2 kids trying to decide if you should come
Dude,
home with
you-
them. So boring.
You're such
I've seen the Swedish version. I've seen the American remake. They're both
The
so
Swedish version
boring.
is
Hold
one
on.
of the best movies I've seen in my
on.
life.
So
Hold
boring.
on. Take the American remake and throw it out a window.
Yes.
We're never talking about the American remake again. I'm with you
Both
on the original.
versions.
Okay,
So
and,
boring.
Well, if you don't want to go there, a comedy that was also made into a TV show, What We Do in the Shadows. Excellent movie.
Fantastic movie. On my short list. Didn't make my top 3. Another one that is on my short list. Didn't make my top 3, but I'm surprised neither of you have brought it up yet. Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes, that was probably going to be the next one that I threw out. But I don't think that From Dusk Till Dawn is a particularly great movie.
It's not.
It just was very impactful in my personal
great movie.
childhood.
Sure, because it's Quentin Tarantino at his horniest.
And Robert Rodriguez together.
At
Yeah.
their horniest.
Yeah.
And at the height of their powers, right after Pulp Fiction.
Did we mention
right
they're
after
horny?
Desperado.
I would not say height of their powers. I would say this is a really terrible movie that people love for certain scenes in it, and Quentin Tarantino loves because he licked the feet of a certain someone.
I
in
don't
it.
agree.
Do we
It's a
have to put
terrible
a Dracula movie on
No.
the list? I think we do.
No, I don't
Bram
think you do.
Stoker's Dracula?
No, I just rewatched Bram Stoker's
Then-
Dracula, and it literally makes no sense. It just doesn't make any sense.
I'm also not putting either of the Nosferatus on here.
So what are we putting on this list,
well,
Tony?
hold on a second. Not even like the original Nosferatu?
Sure, but if we're going to do that, we have to go through all the lists that we have other than like Jack Black movies and take the original movie and be like, well, you can't get better than that. You can't. It's been 100 years. It's been 100 years.
It's
there have
not
been better
the best
movies.
one, but it certainly is like...
Right,
All right.
but there have been better movies.
It influenced all
So,
of cinema.
Blade is on there.
Blade.
I still haven't heard any movies better than Interview with a Vampire, but there's one movie that we haven't talked about yet that I think needs to be on this list, even better than What We Do in the Shadows, even more pivotal than Let the Right One In, The Lost Boys with Kiefer Sutherland.
I don't love The Lost Boys,
Oh,
but
I love it.
I might
You
agree
haven't
that
loved
it
a
should
single
go on
movie
the
we've said.
list of influential vampire movies.
It's a great movie.
yeah.
I love The Lost Boys. And also,
It's a classic.
It inspired a band's name when the guy gets killed and the little actor comes up the ladder and goes, oh, Death by Stereo. There's an actual band named Death by Stereo. I've always found that cool. I love The Lost
You're
Boys.
a Death by Stereo fan, huh? Fine, we could throw the Lost Boys on there. I'm sure the court of public opinion will love that.
I would put The Lost Boys over Interview with a Vampire.
You're
Well,
wrong.
what's the third one then? Because I'm not putting Let the Right One In and What We Do in the Shadows over Interview with a Vampire.
I think Interview with the Vampire should be on there.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, then I'll concede.
Well, what's your movie then? We're not putting Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
That was a terrible movie. I wouldn't suggest it.
We're going Blade. Yeah, TJ's got one from the rafters.
Embrace of the Vampire, Alyssa Milano.
No.
Interview with the Vampire it is. So, the top 3 vampire movies, unfortunately, are Blade,
Yes.
The Lost Boys,
Totally.
Interview with the Vampire.
I guess.
Let us know what you think in the comments. We're definitely wrong.
And can Sinners break that top 3? First off, boys, this movie's coming out this weekend. We've talked about it enough. We are all going to see it. We are all very excited. It is Dangles' second movie in our fantasy box office league. He's trying to catch the leader of Kellerman. So, how much money does it make? We have opening weekend and we have total box office by the end of it. Let's go total first because TJ's back there. He's excited to give us the number that's going to be terrible again. He's excited to talk about what the over-under is going to be. But what's the total box office going to be for this movie when it's all said and done? Is this going to be a worldwide hit?
Oh, mama. It's a tough call. It's a very tough call. I think, what is a hit, you know? I think for a it's rated R, correct?
Yep.
For a rated R vampire sexy thriller, I think a hit is over $200 million. Would you agree with that?
I'd say that's a success.
Well, certainly.
Great. I think it's $236 million.
Getting exact over here. Kellerman?
I'm going to say worldwide total for Sinners comes out to somewhere closer to 140 million.
Oh, well, let me tell you, this reportedly has a budget of 100 million and needs to hit 300 million worldwide to see a profit. Reportedly. I am thinking that this movie makes more than Captain America Brave New World.
What?
I think this movie is in the $400 million range because I think it's going to be a movie that everyone needs to see. Everyone's like, have you seen Sinners yet? Oh, you got to see Sinners this weekend, man. I think it's a huge, huge worldwide hit. And I do think it makes more than Captain America Brave New World. But what does it make this weekend? Opening
So
weekend
what's your, hang on,
domestically.
what's your number?
I'll say
Worldwide.
what's 414 is Captain America. So let's say 420.
Wow.
Oh, I love 420.
Let's go into opening weekend domestically. What will it make? Sinners. Alche's 6-3 at guessing the over/under. Kellerman is 3-6 at guessing the
We don't
over/under.
have to say that over and over again.
If you want to follow someone, you may want to decide who to follow here. But let's dive in. TJ, the number's coming from the commish over here. What's the
When
number?
you're ready.
Yeah, and just, quick note. First of all, follow us and subscribe and do all the, subscribe to the Substack, subscribe to the YouTube, hit a like, all the things. But also, I just want to say that I think the Commissioner TJ's numbers have been fantastic.
The number for Sinners opening weekend domestically is... Okay, TJ, what are we doing here?
You got it. It's circled.
Yeah, but why? You can't have 3 numbers, cross 3 of them out as we're talking about the movie.
Yes,
the
you can.
number is the number.
He gave you the number.
All right, the number for Sinners domestic opening weekend is not 55 million. That's been crossed out. It's not 60 million. That's been crossed out. It is instead $65 million opening
Wow, that is
weekend
so high.
for Sinners. I think it's going to make gangbusters. Right now the projections out there are anywhere from 30 to 40 million on the lower scale. So we have 65 here just based on those projections. I think it's shooting over 40 million. I'll take the under because 65, he just keeps going up with it. If it was 55, I would take the over. Put it that way. I'll take the under. I don't care if I'm wrong. I'm still excited to see it. 65, Alche.
That is insanely high. No one is saying anywhere near that number. And yes, we've learned the projections don't mean squadoosh, but
You literally said at the beginning of this episode that you think that the projections are way under.
They are, but I think it's going to be more of a word of mouth.
This is double the projections.
Yeah, double
For
the
opening
projections.
weekend?
I think 50 to 60 is probably in the range of where it's going to be. Oh, but I like being antithetical to Tony, and I love Michael B. Jordan. Let's bet on Coogler. Let's bet on Michael B. Jordan. No. Is it? Let's do it. I'm struggling. I'm on the struggle bus. A lot's happening up here. Oh, we're going over. We're going over, and I'm nervous as hell.
Oh man, now I don't know what to do because look, Snow White didn't make $50 million, so it seems super unlikely that this would beat that.
If this makes $30 million and I'm nowhere near, I'm gonna be so mad.
But gosh, I really do want to bet with Cheese and against Tony.
If this makes 65 million, everyone's doing backflips off for this movie.
Every time you've got, just so you know, every time you've got against me, you've been wrong.
That's true. But gosh, I just really don't think this is going to do more than Snow White on its opening weekend. That seems unlikely.
Is a lot, but
so I'm going to take the under.
Again.
I feel like
you've taken the under 8 out of 9, 8 out of 10
I'm
times.
bad at guessing, okay? Give me the overall. I'm better, but I got really close on my overall for Snow White, though. I got the closest of the three of us. I don't think we ever went back to those numbers,
did you guess,
Daddy almost got it right.
Did you guess dumpster juice? Because that's how much that's making. So I'm going to hit 200 million.
Baby.
Yeah, I was closest with 350 million somehow.
All right.
But that is it for the Sinners section of this show, and almost it for this show this week. Instead, we have to go through one more little bit because we have some news that is going to make Tom Cruise and Buster Keaton very, very happy. The Academy Awards, after getting lambasted by the three of us during our Oscar show, came out and have a new award that they want to give out. They are finally awarding the stunt performers in movies. For some reason, they're not starting it until 2 years from now for the 100th Academy Awards. I don't know why we can't just flip the switch and turn it on tomorrow, but old people do what old people do. Kellerman, how excited are you that we finally have a stunt Oscar?
I think that this is way overdue, as do a lot of people, I think, in our industry. My first movie comes out later this year, Legend of the White Dragon, which would have
baby.
Thank you, which would not have been possible without an incredible stunt team. And those guys have worked on so many other huge movies that we've all seen, and nobody knows their names, and they never get any recognition, and when you watch the movie, it just looks like the main actor doing all the things, but it's not the main actor. It's a stunt team.
Yeah.
And they prep for months and they hurt themselves and then they do all kinds of crazy things that make movies possible. And this should have always been an Oscar. So I am thrilled that it is finally getting its own Oscar category.
Alche, why are they waiting until Mission Impossible is done to finally do a stunt Oscar?
Probably because they don't want to award Tom Cruise.
They don't want to give it
I have no idea. It makes no sense because he's clearly... I mean, he's probably going to be like, we got to roll it back. We got to do another Mission Impossible.
I should say Tom Cruise is the exception. That is the actor doing the stunts.
He's the one
in the movie
actor
that you're watching.
My favorite Tom Cruise story is the Matt Damon
Yes.
story when they go out to dinner and he's like... he says something to the effect of like, I asked the stunt guy if I could do this one thing and he said no. And he's like, so I hired another stunt guy.
I think it was actually the safety guy.
The safety guy. It's crazy. I mean, Tom Cruise is the ultimate like leading man stunt guy, and yet it's not happening. But this is long overdue and absolutely deserved. Props to Gosling for pushing this forward with Fall Guy. The whole the whole marketing campaign was him being the dude with the sign holding the thing that says "Stunts deserve an Oscar," and it's so true. I mean, think about the movies that make a ton of money that are live action. They're predominantly stunt-based.
Yeah, lots of
And
action
yet,
movies.
no one gives them what they deserve.
Yes.
And it's absolutely time, and I'm thrilled that it's happening. Annoyed that it's not just flipping a switch, but like, whatever. Hopefully, there'll be some amazing movies the following.
Before we go, though, we finally are getting Stunt Oscars. We all agree that it's a great thing. Is there anything else in the movie world that you think deserves an Oscar?
Ooh.
Would you want to see best new something when it comes to Oscars?
I would be okay with
like
like a
debut directorial or debut actor?
Absolutely, that would be totally fine with me. I mean, I grew up watching the MTV Movie Awards, so that would not be like some new strange thing to me.
I'm also like, if you're going to put Marvel movies, if you're going to put big blockbusters, if you're going to have that blockbuster, did they get rid of that box office? They had that box office Oscar for 1 year.
Yeah,
like
what made
start
the
taking
biggest
some
box
swings
office?
at some fun Oscars, because like the Oscars are just getting lamer and lamer, and like let's make it some fun. Let's make it fun.
Well, the only pratfall I see in all that stuff, but this wouldn't affect the box office one, but if we have more Oscars, that means there would have been more nominations given to Amelia Perez, and I would have thrown something against the wall.
Oh my goodness.
yeah, well, I mean, that casting was phenomenal.
But that's it for this week of the Box Office Buds. Next week, Kellerman enters the fray again with The Accountant 2.
Yeah, that's really gonna eat into Sinners box office.
It's also going to do big numbers for our show when we're talking about The Accountant 2.
People love The Accountant.
See you next week.
Ben Affleck.